Hey, my name's James Nicholson. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is this week's property news. There's a lot going on. I have to say that every week, but it is particularly busy. I guess as we get towards the end of the year, that might quieten down a little bit, but not this week. There's a ton of stuff happening. We've got the renters' rights bill. We've got leasehold reform updates. We've got interest rates dropping. We've had the Fed drop interest rates. There's a lot going on. So let's get into this. Before we do, if you haven't done before, do subscribe to the channel over there and hit that bell notification. We've just hit 50,000 subscribers. And by subscribing, you'll get all the latest property news, interest rate news, property house price tips, and much, much more. And let's get some views on this video. Your part is simple. All you need to do is smash like, tickle like, do something to the like button. That helps with the YouTube algorithm, and that's really helped the channel grow. So thanks to everybody that does that. So, happy Halloween. That's some news, isn't it? It's Halloween today. I'll be going out trick-or-treating with my gorgeous little girl, Amelie. Today, she's been excited for a whole week about Halloween. She's done all sorts of Halloween stuff with her mum and myself. We've been all over the place, theme parks and stuff like that. But tonight, we can go trick-or-treating. So I hope you guys enjoy Halloween as well today. And what's going on? Well, lots, as always. Lenders are cutting, which is good. So that's something that's been happening. We had 4 lenders cut last week. We had 4 lenders that are cutting this week as well. Big names like HSBC, Barclays, those sorts of lenders. And they're cutting due to a few things. Mostly because the swap rate, the SONIA swap rate, which is the rate they borrow at, that's been reducing over the last few weeks. So they can get money cheaper now. So they go to a bigger bank. The rate that they get it at has gone down, even though the Bank of England haven't dropped their rates. And so we've got a little bit more wiggle room to cut rates in the next week. And that's because the Federal Reserve cut rates this week. So that is meaning lenders are getting ahead of things. In August, when the Bank of England last cut rates, what happened was, since then, not many lenders cut rates. They did it ahead of time, and that's what we're seeing now. So lenders are cutting rates. The Fed cut, as I just said. So the Federal Reserve cut. It was an interesting press conference from the Federal Reserve. I've made a longer video which you can find out all about. If you click where it says Property Accelerator and then click videos, you can watch the Fed video. But in a nutshell, what they talked about there was the fact that they have a difficult time at the moment because the government is shut. So they don't have unemployment data. They did get some inflation data, which maybe a lot of people aren't sure whether that's right because the last person that did the stats got fired. So it's now a Trump person that's in charge of this data. So maybe it's correct, maybe it's not. Either way, they're kind of flying blind at the moment. And so, or they said, it's like flying through fog. You can't see what's coming up as easily at the moment. So you slow down. And the Federal Reserve said, look, the December meeting, we're already talking about that. And it's not looking likely that we might cut now. There's a lot of internal debates that are already happening on if the Federal Reserve will cut in December, which is a disappointment. Well, ideally, as a British person, we want the American government to open so they get the data. The Federal Reserve looks at that data and it's bad. They cut, and then we're more likely to cut over here. So that's how that would work. Next, a mansion tax. This was popular content for the wrong reasons, but there's a mansion tax being proposed by Rachel Reeves, and that tax would be that a property that's over £2 million, that anything above the 2 million. So if you were looking at a £2 million house, you wouldn't pay the tax. If you're looking at a £3 million house, you would pay it on the 1 million that's above 2 million. And you'd pay 1% tax there. So you'd pay 10 grand on a £3 million house every single year in tax, which is crazy. Now, that means if you had a £6 million house, you'd pay 40 grand in tax. And so the mansion tax is something that's being debated. They're putting all this stuff out to see how we react to it. And the comments on my content on that, a lot of people said, good tax the people that have got these big houses. But you know what happens? It starts at 2 million, then eventually your house will be worth 2 million because of inflation, or they gradually bring it down in the next budget. They bring it down to 1.75 million, then 1.1 million. As your house is getting more valuable, this could be something that starts at 2 million, drops to maybe like 1 million. Your house will be worth 1 million at some time in your lifetime, depending on your age. And then you get hit by this at a later age when you're a pensioner. This could be a controversial thing. So the mansion tax is being discussed. I think the public, to be fair, will be fairly happy with it and back it, because most people don't live in a £2 million house. But what I'm saying is, look at it longer term. Eventually you could. So next, rents are at an all-time high, especially in London. They now take, on average, 44% of people's take-home pay. The take-home pay. So that's crazy. That's the highest it's been for a long time. In London, rents are going up lower than inflation. They're going up around 1%. But there are some areas in the UK, go and check the video out that I made on this, that rents are up 30% in a year. There was another area that was 25% in a year, which is crazy if you think about it. Rent increases are going up slower in the southeast. They're going up slowest in London, but they're still going up. Take-home pay, as I said, 44%, which isn't great. Leasehold reform. We had a good update on this. And what happened was the freeholders have been taking the government to court. It went to the High Court and the freeholders lost, which was a surprise. I don't think it was a surprise. They were saying their human rights were being impacted because of the new terms of the Leasehold Reform Act, and they lost. Two judges put that verdict through, meaning they will appeal. That's likely to happen, but it's not looking like they'll win on appeal. They'll probably appeal just to delay things. So that's the stage. But the government said if they won on the verdict, which they did, they would move along with the leasehold reform. And that is expected to have another big update by the end of the year. The new draft on what's happening with marriage value, what's happening with lease extensions, 990 years, ground rent caps as well. So leasehold reform, that was a big step. We needed that to happen. It's a big win, and the government are going to start moving forward with that. So good. Next, the EPC stuff. Energy performance certificates. Here's a story. I got one back yesterday. I got an energy performance certificate back yesterday. It was an E before. It was an E. And I couldn't go to the meeting. It was a very put together very quickly, the EPC thing. I needed it for a let. Couldn't let it without the new energy performance certificate. If I was there, I would have gone through and said, look, there's insulation in there, there's insulation there, there is insulation in the walls. They just still put exactly the same as what they did when it was an E, because I couldn't prove the energy performance there. I couldn't show the insulation in there. And to be honest, I just needed the certificate to rent it, right? If it goes this EPC stuff through and I've got to get a C, then I'll be a bit more focused on getting it redone for 100 quid and focus on what we can do to get it to a C. However, so the point is, right, the same person that did it 5 years ago did my EPC yesterday. They gave it an E 5 years ago. They gave it a D yesterday. This is ridiculous. Like, what happened? Do they just like literally wake up and say, oh, look, it's a D now? Like, there's no difference in the property. So the calculation is ridiculous, if you ask me. But the point with this, on this EPC stuff, is that Labour are arguing internally, which is good. That's what we want. And so there's big arguments inside the Labour government right now saying, look, we can't get this EPC to level C because so many landlords are going to quit. We don't have enough landlords. We've got a housing crisis at the moment. We need to stop it. So that's good. We want these arguments and we want them to get rid of this stuff like the Conservatives did. The Conservatives said, you've got to get it to a C. Eventually they figured out this isn't going to work. So we're just going to delay it forever or just say it's not a thing anymore. And that's what they did. Labour came back in and said, we want it to C. So there's internal debates on there. Or maybe we magically all just get someone to do an EPC again and it just goes up a level for no reason, like happened to me yesterday. Next, this was the biggest story of the week by far, and it's the Renters' Rights Bill. It's not called that anymore. It's called the Renters' Rights Act. It's law, it's got royal assent, but it's not active law. So what we're waiting for now is little bits to get turned on as they're ready. They've said Section 21 is going to be one of the first things that happens. It's not law right now. There's tons of people giving Section 21s at the moment. And I think that I'm pretty confident, not in a nice way, because I don't think it's a nice story, but I would be surprised if I'm not doing a video in November sometime talking about a massive influx of Section 21s and a massive influx of homelessness, unfortunately, just before Christmas, which is absolutely awful. And that's because of the Renters' Rights Bill. I did a video this week that was very popular as well, and that was all about the fact that this isn't good for tenants, because Section 21s, I could have got rid of a tenant that didn't pay rent, that was in arrears, give them a Section 21, and then I get my property back. They owe me 2 months rent, and I think, you know what? It's not worth a year's worth of hassle to take them to court. So, in that scenario, I don't take them to court, and they get off with that rental arrears. Now, I can't give them a Section 21. Well, I can now, but once this law, that part of it is active, I can't. So I've got to do Section 8. I've got to take them to court. They're going to get a CCJ. Now, someone said in the comments, well, if they pay within 30 days, then that CCJ will be set aside. Good, then I get my rent. That's all I wanted. That's really what we wanted there. Or they fix the problems or have some costs for fixing the problems. So yeah, the Renters' Rights Bill is active. I don't think it's as good for tenants as you think. Go and watch the videos that I made on that. They've been really, really popular. And the last thing is we're launching something very special early next week. It's an in-depth property training. There's a VIP list, so you can get access to that before anybody else. Hundreds of people have joined that already. So click in the description and click in the first comment, put your details in, get in the waiting list, and find out early next week what it's all about. Before you go, do like the video, do subscribe, and check out all the other content as well on this channel, including this video right here.